Thank you, Karishma. But it's not that I am a cop in the day and artist in the night. Actually, I'm more of an artist in the early morning and cop for the rest of the day. Actually, cops' work is mostly in the night when you don't see them, actually. Before I start, I'd like to know a little bit about you. Why you people are coming to Creative Morning and uh, just a little bit, somebody can say why you are coming to Creative Morning and what is it that you do.
My name is Sayam Mehta. I'm
Yes.
19 and I'm a first year design student.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, I was looking for people like you.
The reason why I come to these sessions is that I want to learn. It's as
Yes,
simple as that.
perfect.
Anything,
Perfect.
something new. I just want to know something.
Other people here who are into creative field or do some kind of creative work? Yes. What do you do?
My name is Santanu. I'm a vehicle designer. I work at the manufacturer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you did it from Gujarat, NID.
No. I studied at Industrial Design Center, IDC, IIT Bombay,
Okay.
and
I studied at NID in Ahmedabad.
Wow.
I studied furniture, but I do user experience design now. So I studied architecture, then
Yeah.
I did masters from NID in furniture.
Yes.
Now I'm doing user experience design. So
Okay, thank you. Yes, sir.
The past 2 decades.
Yes.
Now I just came out and I've founded an ad agency which I run. I'm from a visual communications background.
Okay. Yes.
And the reason for me, to come here for the first time is I want to hear art from a cop's perspective.
Hello, my name is Rachna. I'm 19 and I'm a
Yes.
second year psychology student. And yeah, I'm here to know. And art really fascinates me. And this is something related to humans and
Yes.
human rights and everything. So
So my first question is, why do you create? I mean, why do you do what you do? Why do you paint? Why do you write? Why do you read books? Why do you listen to music? Why? There was a German philosopher called Arthur Schrödinger. Now he had given his entire life to understanding of music. So he had given many kind of analysis, like three small soft notes followed by a one sharp note, and then again followed by two short soft notes. That will make good music, and people will like it. Okay, if you know Leonardo da Vinci, he had given this 2 by 3, 1 by 3 formula, like it goes into a kind of spiral. It goes into that, and if you can make the focus at that point, then the painting will look good. The question is not that. The question is, why do you like that music? Why do you like that logic? Why? Can anybody tell me why? Nobody can tell. I think nobody can tell. The reason is very simple. This abstract thing that we don't understand, this is what is art. And this is also what I call divinity. You get a glimpse of that. When you see a particular portrait, or a particular scenery, three sceneries, only one scenery will attract you. One particular painting will attract you. There's so many paintings there. Very beautifully crafted paintings, but only one will attract you. Why is that particular painting attracts you? You don't know. And that is divinity. So I'll start this today's talk. You can ask me questions anytime in between in the form of 3-4 small stories. So the first one that I will talk about is glimpses of divinity. Art is nothing but glimpses of divinity. When you see a painting, when you listen to a music, when you see a particular film, there are studies which say that people don't see a film more than 5 minutes. Within 5 minutes, they know that whether this film is good or not good. Something is there in those 5 minutes that makes it so attractive that you see the whole film. This 5 minutes, what is it that is there in that 5 minutes? We don't know. And that is divinity. And when that strikes you, you cannot get out of that. So I'll talk about 1980, 85, 86. Sometime during that time, I was still a child and I used to make paintings. I was interested in art. I used to draw and I used to paint. And I come from the city of Calcutta. In every Durga Puja, they will have music festivals, they will have dances, they will have theatre. And they also used to have small exhibitions where local people could come and put up their paintings. And I used to put up my paintings there. But at that time, my understanding of art was simply reproduction of what you see on a magazine or what you see in a book, just reproduction of that. And the better you reproduce, the better you are, an artist you are. And then in 1986, I got to see an exhibition of paintings of a society called the Society of Contemporary Artists. Those of you who are from the design background, you have probably all heard about Progressive Artists Group. Have you heard about that?
Yes.
Yeah. So Progressive Artist Group is of M.F. Hussain and F.N. Souza and Kishan Khanna, some of the biggest names today. But that Progressive Artist Group survived for only 3 years, right? But Society of Contemporary Artists have survived for 35 years. So some of the greatest artists of India at that time, Vikas Bhattacharya, Ganesh Haloi, Ganesh Pine, Manu Parekh, and Balraj Panesar, who happened to be my guru in the art field. When I saw that exhibition, something changed in me. Something changed. First time I realized that you don't actually need to make a woman like a woman. You can see a woman on in a painting, in a photograph, but when you make it on the canvas, you don't need to really make it like that. And yet you can tell a lot of stories. And it is then and there that I decided that I am going to become an artist. How do you become an artist? In Calcutta, those who wanted to become artists, I approached some of the seniors who were in the art field and I asked, how do you become an artist? And they said, you have to know various kinds of medium. You have to know how to make it oil, how to use pastel, how to do watercolors. And those days, they also used to do gouache and tempera, charcoal. We come from a middle class family. We did not have much money to buy art material every month. I was a bit frustrated that what do I do? How do I learn so many things when everything is so costly? My guru was Balraj Panesar. He was a collage artist. He is no more now. One of the best collages that India ever had. And his collage is, when you look it from the front, you don't see anything. You just see some lot of paper cutting, that's it. But you move 3-4 feet back, and then you see at the collage, a scenery will come out. So that was my first inspiration. So this was what I made in the style of Balraj Panesar. It's a very big thing. If you are seeing from a close distance, so you probably see some lot of papers here. But when you go very far, you will see a little bit of scenery coming out of it. There is a little water, there's a little reflection, but you can't see it here. You have to go a little distance. And this is actually a very small walk. This much of a walk. So if you go about 2 feet or 3 feet back, then you will see the whole thing. So this is what I started making. Balraj Panesar was not very happy. He said that, no, you see, I do collage doesn't mean that you should also do collage. You should do something else. You should do your own thing. So what do I do? So I started making watercolors. So Vikas Bhattacharya was the inspiration for watercolor. Again, I was making like Vikas Bhattacharya. And then somebody said, no, if a good artist don't make sceneries and landscapes and all, they should make abstracts. So I started making abstracts. I was not able to find what is it that I should do. And this time I met Ganesh Haloi. So he asked me a question. What do you want to paint? I said, I want to make gouache works. But that's not the question. What do you want to paint? I said, landscapes, portraits. But everybody makes landscapes. Everybody makes portraits. What do you want to make? I was not understanding the question. He said, look, everybody makes portraits. Everybody makes landscapes. But in the same landscape, two people will make in two different ways. So you are seeing something which other person is not seeing. And you want to show something which nobody else is trying to show. So that is your art. So you have to first understand what is it that you want to paint. And the day you have answered that question, you will know that which medium you should follow, whether it is gouache or acrylic or more. That is not important. What is more important is to know what is it that you want to paint. So the journey of an artist actually begins with this question. What is it that you want to paint? What is it that you want to tell the world? What is it that you want to show? And to know that, first you have to know what is it that you are. So first you have to understand what you are. But basically, I'm going to talk about my journey as an artist. I wanted to get into an art college. My father was definitely not interested in that. He gave me an example of an artist that he used to know. Supposed to be a sculptor who was coming from a very good family. Now, this story has 4 elements in it. That artist that my father used to know came from a very good family. That is number 1. Number two, during his life as an artist, he became poor. And number three, he used to come home drunk. And number four, he used to beat up his wife. So this was the artist that my father used to talk about. And I said that, look, you see Vikas Bhattacharya, you see Ganesh Pain, you see Balraj Panasarla, they are the minorities. The majority are like this. And this is the artist I know. Now, my father had met that artist. I don't know whether he actually met that artist or whether it was just a fiction to dissuade me from getting into an art college. So I don't know about that. Many years later, I asked my father that was there an artist like that? And he didn't even remember that he had told me the story. Anyway, so I got into Presidency College to study economics. So I studied economics. Of course, to study art, I used to go to the Academy of Fine Arts, trained myself. I never got into an art college. I got into economics. And Presidency College was a roller coaster ride. It was an intellectual environment. Okay, before that, I will tell you about this was in 1990s, 80s, late 80s. And everybody in India at that time, every intellectual, every philosopher, every filmmaker, poet, they were all socialists. And all the socialists from all over the country, those from South, M.S. Satyu, Adur Gopalakrishnan, Aravindan, and this Shyam Benegal, all these people used to be most of the times in Calcutta only. And we used to have so many functions, and Presidency College being one of the socialist colleges. 10 years before that, 10 years before my joining Presidency College, it was also a college which was involved in the Naxalite movement. Socialists have influenced our fashion style, our style. Today, if you see most of the boys, young boys, they have very properly cut beard, very stylish, and they have one earring and they will have a little bit of jewelry. In our time, the men's dress was exactly the opposite. Exactly the opposite. If you want to be if you have to be successful with the women, then you have to be in shabby kurta, you have to be unshaven, your head has to be unkempt, and your jeans has to be torn. And our heroes used to be, Fidel Castro and Che Guevara. Socialism was not so much into our understanding as it was in our fashion. Okay, so this is what I call the chaos of the intellectuals and other hillbillies, where your brain gets completely in chaos and you don't really understand what is happening. So this is one of the paintings of Che Guevara. It's a mixed media painting that I made. Curator of the show did not like the concept that I said. He wanted to say that Che Guevara is so popular that he's becoming an icon and it is spreading everywhere. And I wanted to say it's not like that. I wanted to show Che Guevara. Actual Che Guevara is the person who had fought, who had given his life to a revolution. But today, we don't understand him much, and he has just become a fashion icon. And the curator did not like this thing, but he said, I will show the thing, but you will never speak. I mean, that question still remained with me at what is it that you want to paint? That question was still not answered. So, in the meanwhile, this is the second story. Something happened in the 1990s. This happened. Can someone tell me what has happened? Babri Masjid demolition. This is a rough painting. It's not a proper painting. It's just what you call a color sketch. So anyway, this thing happened. This is not the only thing that happened in 1992. Many things happened together. In 1991, we liberalized our economy. Internationally, a lot of things happened. In 1989, Soviet Union broke. So you understand, we were all socialists. Soviet Union broke. In one shot, we realized everything that we thought till now was wrong. 1989. And 1991, by 92, the entire Eastern Bloc became capitalists. And now, there was a movie made by Mrinal Sen called Mahaprithvi. Mrinal Sen is a hardcore communist. So in 92 or 93, he made a film called Mahaprithvi, which is basically a mother who's very disillusioned she's thinking that all those things that I have thought and all those things that I had taught my children, are they all wrong? Because at 92 and 90, in the 90s, people started getting these ideas that probably all these ideas that we thought were probably wrong. Even at that time, we also started getting to know about, we started to read a lot of things about what was happening in Soviet Union and how repressive the Stalinist regime was and how repressive the Mao Zedong's cultural revolution was. So my ideas initially started getting a bit shaky. I realized that you need to do something else to earn a living. You cannot just paint. And then came this man, Vinod Khanna. I was not a fan of Vinod Khanna, but on a particular day, I remember this was almost similar kind of a day, very wintry kind of day, little drizzle, and we were having tea and uh, we were watching TV, and this movie came, Vinod Khanna's movie, and Vinod Khanna was a cop. Shabana Azmi was, I think, getting molested by some goons. Vinod Khanna, being a cop, got down from a jeep, suddenly started beating up those guys, and I realized that this is what I want to be. And so this is how it happens. Actually, this is how you take major decisions in life. And I went to my dad and I said that I want to become an IPS officer. And the first time I saw my father to be very happy. They said, good, this is a very good decision. You can be an IPS officer, only then you can become a good artist. Because then you will know a lot of things, you will show the real world. Then you will get to know what you should make. So anyway, so a few years of struggle, and after that I finally became an IPS officer. It definitely introduced me to things which I had not seen earlier. It definitely introduced me to life which was not seen as a student. So this is what I call moment of insanity and invitation to trouble. So that moment of insanity, seeing a movie and taking a decision, is an insane decision, and it actually puts you in a lot of trouble. Few years later, when I got into the National Police Academy in Hyderabad, and 10th of January 2000, I recall it very well. So as a whistle was blown, and we were all supposed to get up at 5 o'clock and go down to the parade ground. I went down, and the Ustadji was there. Ustad means the people who used to train us. They are junior officers, we call them Ustad. And I said that at 5 o'clock I paint. He said, you are a cop. From now onwards, you are not going to paint at 5 o'clock. You are supposed to run at 5 o'clock. 6 o'clock, you are supposed to wear uniform and go for a parade. 8 o'clock, you are coming back and you are going to go for a weapons training. And then you should have a little quick breakfast, and then you will go to the classroom and you will listen to lectures. That too in suit and coat and tie and all. In Hyderabad, by the way, we were in Hyderabad, and it was used to be very hot. I sustained that training somehow for 1 year. It was extremely difficult, very grueling. My thought of what I should paint, my thoughts were not coming. And I realized that probably my art is going to be over. Henceforth, I will not be able to become an artist. Then something happened. Apple falls on every head. And one day, an apple fell on my head too. It is at that time when I was a bit disappointed that am I doing? Why am I doing all these things? And I did not have any energy to do anything. But that day, I decided, okay, I will paint today, whether any idea comes to my mind or not. And there, I said, whatever comes to my mind, I will draw. And I kept doing, I put a line and then some sketch, then something and all, and kept on putting colors and all. And this is what came out. This gave me the first idea that you don't really need to think to paint. It will come on its own. A blank canvas will give you the idea. You have to just sit in front of a blank canvas, stare at it, and a good artwork will come out. Many years later, many years later, I had heard a quote of Pablo Picasso. When he was asked, how do you come to decision that how to make a painting? He says, I don't think how to make a painting. The painting itself comes to me. So actually paintings come to you on its own. So this is a new process that gradually got into me, and this is a spiritual process. I got into police service. They actually opened my eyes to a lot of things which I would not have seen had I not been in this service. Over the next 20-25 years, I had been painting whatever is coming to me, whatever I was seeing all around me. So this is a cobbler whom I have seen in Chamarajnagar. In Orissa flood, I had been to Orissa. So there was a flood in Orissa. And I had made a series of paintings on the flood. This is similarly, this is another. You can see a little bit of socialism is still there in me. And then a lot of other things also happened. I got married and life changed. And this new phase inspired me to make a lot of new paintings. So this is a painting. It's actually a photograph of my child, and I then added the other things to it. So this is one painting. Later, a few years later, my daughter came. This is some paintings which were inspired by that phase of my life. Being in the police, I also had access to a lot of places where you don't have access, like the prisons. So this is a series of paintings that I made on prisoners, how they live, what they do, how they survive, how they remain hopeful. So you see, these various things that come to my mind, I really don't know how they come to my mind. But if you keep on looking at a canvas, blank canvas, these ideas will come back to you and they will finally end up becoming a painting. I traveled a lot during this time. This is once again back to West Bengal, where I had gone for the baul. Those who are from Bengal would know. Bauls are traveling musicians. They just play with one iktara. One iktara is only one string instrument. And when I was seeing these things, I always keep saying one thing, that creativity is not something that you see in the exhibition galleries. Creativity, everybody is creative. So these are very creative people. Again, two of the people I got to know. So this had been my journey all through my life. I tried to understand what is it that I should paint. The answer I never got. This is my journey, the three phases of my life: the Che Guevara phase, the NPA phase, and the recent phase. The recent phase of paintings that I call is surrealism. Surrealism, a new style of painting, which is slowly getting attention. I didn't want to talk much about surrealism today. It is a style where you don't exactly make a realistic work, but it has the appeal of realism. End my speech today with a song that was there in Umrao Jan, and which remained kind of the motive of my life. Justaju jiski thi, wo to na paya humne. Justaju means desire. जुस्तजू जिसकी थी वो तो ना पाया हमने, इस बहाने से मगर देख ली दुनिया हमने. So whatever was the desire, I never got to see, but I saw a lot of world in the process. Thank you.
My question to you would be, again, going back to your perception of what would your perception of mediums be at this point of time? It started with mediums, but today, where do you stand when it comes to mediums?
This is again, see, the thing is, again, things are changing. In 92, we had a change when we moved from socialism to slowly market economy and more towards the right. The whole world has moved towards the right. I think again now we are changing into something else which we don't know. Artificial intelligence is coming. I mean, even if you have artificial intelligence, it is still a man who's sitting in the front of the computer who's creating something. And it is his thought that is finally going to attract you. Medium is, I think, becoming less important now. What is more important is, again, the same thing. What is it that you want to say? What is it that you want? What is it that you want to show?
When did you decide that this style, I would adapt this style? I've been seeing your style with flat colors.
The last one.
The last, I have seen the transformation.
You know, it's again when apple falls on your head, it just comes suddenly, all of a sudden, on a day. And you have seen that movie called Pollock.
Yeah,
Jackson Pollock.
Yep.
Jackson Pollock was a cubist, actually. He used to make paintings in the style of Pablo Picasso, and he tried for a long time to make Picasso's paintings. He had actually shifted from New York to a very faraway place in some suburban area. There he was just putting the canvas on the floor, and he was smoking a cigarette, and suddenly a drop of paint fell from his brush onto the canvas, and suddenly he realized that this is a totally new way of making art. And he kept on making it, and suddenly his wife came back, and she was also an artist, so she looked at it and said that, Jack, I think you have just cracked it. This is how it happens. It just comes all of a sudden one fine day. So that's what I call the glimpses of divinity. So if it has to happen, it will just happen. Apple will fall on your head. So apple will fall on your head and you will come out with your own thing. Something will come. So you have to wait for that apple to fall. When it will fall, we don't know.
Good morning.
Yes, morning.
I'm a lawyer.
Yes.
And I have a daughter who paints and who aspires for civil services. I repent not getting her today. She would have truly inspired. You've shared a lot of details and insights about how your work, which happened after seeing Vinod Khanna, inspired your art. Can we get an idea the other way around? How has the art inspired in many ways of your services? How you put into practice, or how you looked at your service? There are a lot of dimensions of the services that you were in.
Art has helped me as a
You're a
cop.
better cop.
Yeah. So I think art actually helps you relax. It actually is a meditative process. I told you, you actually go inside you. It's a very meditative process. So it is because of that you it helps you as a officer, and I think it keeps you sensitive. Because of art, you keep meeting lot of people who normally we don't meet, people who would not come to creative morning kind of events. So it makes you sensitive. So art also makes you sensitive. I think these are the ways art helps you in your professional career.
Thank you for this talk. It was just very positive and it's very honest. Thank you for this. Uh, I, has there ever been a time where you've thought you need to choose between one of them? Did you ever think, I'm going to quit being a cop and I want to be a full
I
time
will never
artist?
quit as a cop. Never. I mean, I will never quit till the government holds me by the collar and throws me out of the chamber and locks the chamber and says that you are retired, you are gone. Now you should not come back. Cops cannot retire. Retired officers also don't feel like retiring. Even retired officers, they come to our programs and all. They are still very attached to their service. It's a very high pressure service. You have to do a lot of things which is very difficult, but it has its own charm. And the kind of exposure that it has given me, I don't think I would have got had I not been this. This is something I keep telling in when I go to art colleges, and I had an opportunity to speak in an art college. I told them that, look, there's a problem in India that engineers don't get to know about art. In engineering colleges, we don't teach in art. We don't teach music. They survive somehow. But art colleges, they don't teach politics. They don't teach economics. They don't teach history. They only teach you how to draw, how to paint, how to sketch. But how can you become an artist unless and until you know about the world that you live in? I feel just being an artist will reduce your spectrum. You should have something else. So, and similarly, just being a cop can be very boring. You have to have the other side also. I think these two are required, and I would like to continue like this.
More than a question, I have a fascination with what you said. So, civil services or cracking civil services is so many people's passion, so many people's dream. How did you how were you able to crack something that is seen something so scared by people, something that's so huge, something that's so tough, when all throughout you had a different passion, your dreams were different, your calling was different? How did you so not effortlessly, I want to know the kind of effort that you put in, that you went to a completely different competitive thing, just cracked it and found yourself?
No, it's not so different. I was already studying economics. So I would have become, had I not gone into civil services, I would probably have got into academics. So it's not very different. I took the same subjects and I got into civil services. Partly it is because of luck. A time comes when everything falls in place. You know, जिसे कहते हैं ना कि just you want something very badly. The whole world conspires to give you that, and I wanted it very badly at that time because I wanted to quickly get into something. I had luckily some friends who were studying with me who used to tie a thread to this hair and tie to the ceiling so that they don't fall sleeping when studying. I used to see that. I said, okay, these guys can do this much. I should be able to study. And it was a time when it had to happen. So if a civil servant aspirant would not get it, I would say that one should not be disappointed. Whatever has to happen will happen.
Sir, I had another question. How much does it bother you, or does it bother you that and there is an audience to the art? Because why I ask is, we've been part of a few debates around art. There was one interesting one, especially there were two artists of totally different mindset. If one had drawn a leaf and if I see, let's say, a door in it, one artist said, of those of the mindset that, yes, this is what art should do. It should ignite different kind of emotions. But the other artist said, no, if it's a leaf and it's meant to be a leaf the way you saw it, it's your responsibility to communicate the exact leaf the way it is to the audience. You're failing in your So where do you stand, especially with your art form tending towards pseudo-realism? Where do you stand on this?
Pseudo-realism is a technique. Surrealism is simply a technique, like surrealism is a technique. Magic realism is a technique. It's a way of saying things. Okay. But this is something Panesarji used to say. Panesar, I told you, Balraj Panesar, my guru. He used to say that you should keep your paintings untitled. Because when I am making the painting, I think something and I made the painting. The moment you give a title, the person is going to try to understand how it is related. But if you keep it untitled, it will relate to the person in a different way. Artists can make whatever they want to make, but one should leave the viewers to think how they want to interpret it. I would also like to keep my paintings untitled. I don't do it because galleries don't like it, because they say that, okay, if you make it untitled, then you have to put numbers, 1, 2, 3, and then 50, 60, it becomes very complicated. Give a name. So I keep a name, but preferably I would like to keep my paintings untitled.
Nice, sir. Thank you for your talk. I have two questions actually. Would you like me to maybe just share both my questions with you? Yeah.
Please, go ahead.
Okay. The first question is more about I'm curious what your process looks like when you're creating art, like what that looks like for you, what that feels like on an experiential level. I think you did already speak a little bit about that, but I'm wondering how you would put that together. So that's my first question. The second is to do with, I've been reflecting a lot about this. There's a lot of debate about whether we separate the art from the artist. And one side of it is to do with no, you just cannot separate the art from the artist, right? Because there's a lot of artists that have created beautiful art, but because you don't really align with where they stand politically or the kind of impact they're having on the world, the conversation becomes about disowning the art that they've created as well, even though that might speak to you on a different level. Whereas the other side of the debate is you can separate the art from the artist, and it's okay to just enjoy a piece for what it is without associating that with the person, especially if you don't believe in what they stand for. So I wonder what you think about that debate and maybe where your
Yeah, the
stance
first
is.
question I think I have already kind of answered. How the process of art making, it has no process. I mean, I don't have a process. People may have a process. People write in various ways. There's a Bengali writer called Sunil Ganguly, once upon a time very popular in West Bengal. He was asked, how do you start writing a novel? How do you start writing a novel? The same thing, like blank canvas. He's saying the same thing. Just you start on a day. You don't think of the plot, just day. This is a rainy day. I'm going on a bus, sitting here, doing whatever. You keep writing and it will come on its own. Some people make a plot. Okay, I will have 100 pages, 50 pages will be this, 20 pages will be this, so many things. Like the way they write scripts. Script is a very technical process where you have to have 125 pages and 5 pages of this, 6 pages of that, so many things. The hero must come in the second page or the third page. So there is a script, has a Hollywood script particularly has a style. So various ways of creating art. Which is right, I don't know. I don't have a process. The second question is that you have just said that how art, politics and all, some people will say that art has to have a cause and some people will say art is for art's sake. We can have our own political views, our own ideas, but it is that you cannot influence it just by art. You can do whatever you want to do, but you cannot influence it entirely by art.
So just as an extension to her question, what especially during, let's say, the Me Too movement, for example, I think in our minds a lot of things started surfacing that we didn't know about, and these were people who were so-called talented. And so at that point, then how do we then look at the artists separately and say, what, it's okay.
I didn't get it. How is Me Too and
there were a lot of artists who were accused of being perpetrators across the country, across the world. So at that point, it kind of shifts, things shift in your mind, people who you've looked up to all your life, who you have been inspired by.
Okay, yes. So now I understood. Okay. So do you still appreciate their art if they are themselves not nice people? This is, nobody is above law. Nobody is above moral rectitude. Everybody has to have that. If you feel that a particular artist is doing something morally wrong, we should all go together against him or against her. A film star or an artist or a politician, whoever, they survive on your support. So it is not the artist's responsibility to be good. It is the people's responsibility to make sure that artists continue to be good.
What about the artist standing for a certain cause, and obviously there's contradiction, and art has always been an expression of various activism, right? And there's always a division, like, few people support it, few people don't. Now, in this context, the art becomes more important, or the subject matter the artist is trying to kind of convey becomes emotion.
Finally, it is human good that is important. We as a human society survive the evolutionary process. Through the evolutionary process, we have made ourselves better human beings than what we used to be 7,000 years back. We don't torture people the way kings used to torture 7,000 years back. This is civilization, right? We have civilized to this extent. At the end of the day, everything is for making our lives even better. So art is not bigger than human good. Art is for human good. Finally, it is human welfare which is important, and I think we should give importance to that.
You said that you just need to start. I completely agree that you just need to start. But do you know that when to stop?
Yeah, exactly.
Because I've seen your work, because it's more of an abstract. If it was a realism, you know that we got the detail of everything. But as an
So
abstract artist,
this question also Pollock had said. I will repeat exactly what Pollock had said. So Pollock also said that, well, how do you know when to stop painting? He said, how do you know when you stop making love? You know.
if you have heard about William de Kooning, because
Yes,
I've
William
personally, I've
Dayton, yes.
seen his works in MoMA. So he's also the person, he doesn't know when to stop. No, I have read it and it's there that the curators used to drag him out of the painting to stop.
I don't know about Kooning,
Ah,
but I think you know. It's very simple. You know.
because he
Beyond the
says,
point, you cannot paint. You know that this is it, done.
because what he says that unless you keep on drawing, it's live. Otherwise, it's dead. It's what he says. If I've read it somewhere.
I don't know about Kooning. I cannot comment on Kooning when I don't know.
It's okay.
Hello, sir. I just wanted to understand your perspective on one matter. Like, do you believe that every painting has to be an art? Like, you see a lot of contemporary art in museums. Like, for
Which you don't
example,
understand.
yeah, for example, a few years back, there was literally a banana taped to a wall which sold for like millions of dollars. So, what is art exactly? And are there like, some things, does a painting have to be an art or could it also be just a painting?
I mean, why this kind of things are happening? That is what. That is happening because of too much of inequality in this society. When one set of people have too much of say, and they are the pundits and they are the ones who will decide what is art, that is why this kind of things are happening. I know about this banana story. That's not just the only thing. In 1980s, there was one artist who had actually canned his own shit and put it in the gallery and named it artist's shit, freshly produced and canned. And it was sold. But I think we should not bother about this. Make the art that you want to make and let people buy whatever they want to buy. If people want to buy a banana strapped to the wall, let them buy. If that gives them happiness, what is the problem?
This is a continuation to what she had asked and she had mentioned and that you said. There's a thin line between the art and the artist. And somewhere down the line, you had mentioned that, we as on humanity have to boycott their art or something like that to go. But in reality, if you look at masterpieces, for an example, I'm just throwing, can we stop loving Michael Jackson's music? Or can we stop not admiring what
No,
Tiger
Michael
Woods did
Jackson's
in?
music, probably you will still listen because the music is good. So you probably would listen to that music, but you can still give a indication to Michael Jackson that what he's doing is not right. If you not buy his music at all, then probably he will get an indication, and many other artists will probably not do the thing. And I think people should take this responsibility on this. It's not just your it's not just your power. It is also people's responsibility to tell the people who are not right that you are not right and I don't support you. And I just want one more thing. It is not that Michael Jackson alone can produce that music. If Michael Jackson is given a clear indication that you are not supposed to do these things and we will not buy your music irrespective of how good it is, somebody else is going to fill up that gap. Nobody is irreplaceable in this world.
So yeah, that question about the liberty that an artist has to put up what he sees. Like I have the liberty to put my art the way I see it. Maybe it's provocative or it's not morally acceptable to the society, but I still want to go for it and do it. Like, what is it? Is it the liberty? Like, does the artist don't have the liberty to?
Artist has the full liberty to do whatever you want. whatever he wants. Artist can do whatever he wants. But people are also having the liberty to say that whatever I want to see, I will see. You can do whatever you want, but do I have to see it necessarily? No. Or do I have to really accept it? No.
Exactly. So the artist does an art for the sole purpose of his personal solace and joy, not for the audiences. Like,
The artist always does things only for his own personal joy. I am doing everything only for my own. That is the way you create art. If you think of an audience in mind, then you will not be able to create good art.
so there might also be a thin line between, being conceited and being actually like, I am doing things for myself, right?
You are doing for yourself.
No, what could it also be like being conceited that I'm always right, or like, yeah.
It doesn't matter whether you think you are right or not. Whether the audience thinks you are right is important. So you can always think whatever you want. That's not important. It was really nice talking to all of you and giving you a little bit of exposure to my art. Thank you.